and tea. No, wait. Cakes and cups and cups and cakes. Cups and I don't remember how the melody goes. I just know that the song existed
I'm
because
already
it was
lost
in
in the first
Spinal
five
Tap.
seconds.
It was in It was at Spinal Tap because
Oh,
back when they were the Thamesmen, wasn't that their
right,
name?
right.
And they had that cute little song about cakes and cups and cakes. Yes.
I
And
remember
what I
now.
didn't realize is that when they did, because if you know Spinal Tap, they did the kind of the comeback tour or whatever.
Hmm.
They had Paul McCartney sing that for their recording. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah, that's what I thought too. So welcome to Julia Pop. I'm hoping that the yammering
So
may
the
have
Paul
given us
McCartney recordings out there somewhere?
report. Yes, and I even
Mm,
used it for one of my posts.
mm.
So if people have their sound on when the post comes through, then you would. Here's hoping that everything's going to go okay with the live stream. Just kind of a housekeeping thing. I was trying to get. Oh, actually, let me shut some other things down because apparently I forgot to do that too. So that maybe we get a little bit better quality streaming. I don't know. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. But yes, as I said, welcome to Julia Pop. Those of you that are tuning in, always feel free to comment in the comment section. We welcome your comments so that we can start the conversation and keep the conversation going. Let's see. I wouldn't call you a first-time caller, but you're a long-time peanut gallery.
Hmm.
So we
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
Evan
Hmm.
back in the peanut gallery again.
I'm so
We picked
excited.
out some glasses that we thought would be kind of,
Yeah.
similar to the colors that are in Hostess. So I think they're there. I think it's there. I think it's all right. So yes, as I said, welcome to the live stream. This week we are talking about snack cakes. We've talked about candy before. We've talked about tea and coffee and other things like that. This time we're really focused on those wonderful, sugary, sweet, fluffy snacks that
I
we love so
skipped
much.
dinner.
So
I'm
you're
ready.
ready, and we will have some tasting. And the thing is, I
I have
don't
to
know that we
close
would.
my eyes. Like,
Well, and I don't know that we would test them necessarily, since I'm pretty sure we know what all of those taste like, because we as Gen
yeah,
Xers
yeah.
have grown up in a time.
I
And
would
if
say
if
sure.
not, and that's where the testing will come
Like
in.
you got
I'll
zingers
ask if
over
you know.
there.
Yes, and
Yeah,
so I'll ask you
I didn't like zingers.
if you knew about these or didn't know about these,
Hmm.
and we'll get you through. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
as I said, and to repeat myself again, feel free, those of you that are watching, please jump in and comment as much and as often as you want. And we will just go ahead and jump right in. And then remember, once we get to the very end, I make the announcement of what next week's theme is going to be. So do stick around for that.
Hmm.
And it's possible. I do have one of the treats over here that I showed to Stephen, and it's very much up his alley, and we'll talk a little bit about why. He might come down and try it. I don't
Okay.
know. We'll see. We'll
Hmm.
find out.
All
So
right.
he is, busy with his
We
gaming.
got the
So
buffet. Come on in.
indeed, we do. And so we'll run through all of those items. And I was just telling Evan that I didn't realize how few tchotchke things I had that involved snack cake mascots. I didn't know. And Crystal says it perfectly: latchkey kids snacks.
Hmm.
LOL.
Hmm.
And she's completely right.
Hmm.
So let's talk a little bit, of course, as I always start, the origin, the history of it all. So back in the day, we had tea time in the middle of the afternoon, and we would have snacks, and they would usually consist of cute little cakes. They were small bites, and they were just oftentimes little handheld items that you could have with your tea. So you'd have your tea in one hand, and you have a scone or a cake or a
What
petit
is
four
back
in
in
the
the
other
day?
hand.
Like, where are we? When are we?
So this is going back into tea time days, and so
Hmm.
tea time, tea in the afternoon, especially being kind of a British or a Western European thing.
But here in the States at that
Here in the
point.
States was very
Okay.
similar. So tea time came over as
Tea
well.
time.
Yeah, tea
Nice.
time came over, and
I
so
miss
tea
tea time.
cakes being what they were, and so. But that really didn't come into vogue until probably about the 1700s. But of course, the United States was coming around in the 1700s as well. And then from there came the coffee break. So instead of the tea, afternoon tea, you would have a coffee break. And so,
Coffee break just sounds so much harsher.
doesn't it? I know.
Totally
It's well,
does.
and it's just, the word coffee itself.
Stronger.
Yeah, it is.
Coffee break.
That's right. And so it just
It's
kind of
tea
it
break.
fed into that vibe of Americana being, yeah, we'll have coffee, even though coffee is Eastern
Hmm. Hmm.
Mediterranean. Yeah,
It's
so
man's drink. Man's drink.
I don't think so. No. Well, unless I mean, hang on, but hang
I'm
on,
talking about
but
back
hang on.
in the day.
It's a man's drink if you're. I mean, what's masculine, what's feminine. There's plenty of girls that will drink their coffee black, and there's plenty of guys that
Totally.
put a metric crap ton of sugar and a metric crap ton of creamer in it. Does that sound
Totally,
familiar?
totally being
Uh huh.
facetious for
Uh huh.
sure.
Yeah, that would
Absolutely.
be him. He just piles it high with
Yep.
all of that. And so Crystal says,
I
still in
like
England.
I like coffee with my sugar.
That's exactly the perfect way to put it. Still in England, they have a bell to tell you that it's tea time. Yes, that is correct. And Linda, hello, good to see you as well. Says welcome, Evan. So
Hi.
she's happy to
Thank
see you.
you.
Like I said,
Hello.
these were often little handheld treats. So it would be small things like muffins, donuts, buns, cupcakes, coffee cake, pound cake, layer cake, shortcake, all kinds of things, and even little mini pies and little mini tarts. Are you hungry already?
That
Well, you're
must have
gonna
been
have
like
to
the
hang on.
longest part of the
Yeah,
day,
you've
right?
got to hang on until we get to the taste testing. And then the other thing is, so these are all the fancy ones that we described, but a handheld lunch for a worker was also very important. And so, if you guys remember when we were talking right around candy bar time, we'd talk about Goo Goo clusters and we would talk about Snickers bars and about how it was a meal in your hand. And so, and it even says there, a nourishing lunch.
Snickers
Even though it was,
satisfies.
yeah, Snickers really satisfies. And so, these were the things that, you'd eat it to get through the day, then you'd go home and have your meal, or you had your breakfast before you went to work. That got you through work, and then you would go. And so that's a big part of where the snack cake concept came around as well. So not only for fancy people, but also for the working class. And so with alongside this, and so most times they'd fold it up into some wax paper or whatever and pack it in their lunch
It's
bags.
like the Cliff Bar of the day.
Exactly. It
They
is
thought
exactly.
It, was,
It
right?
is exactly that. Yes.
The healthy
And so,
Twinkies.
Yeah. So yeah, and the thing is, they're like, it's nourishing. It's it's going to get
It
you through
is.
the day,
I can't wait.
and it's just chock full of sugar. But then alongside that, we had the industrialization where things were getting prepackaged and pre-made, and so instead of making your own foods, you were going to the shop to get foods. And so with this industrial revolution, with this turn of the century, suddenly having a packaged brand, and of course we, Nabisco being one of the cookie people that did that, we also had a bunch of snack cake companies that came along as well. Now, one of my favorites when I started studying up on this was a fellow by the name of, let me see if I can say it right, Ralph Leroy Nafziger. And Ralph Leroy Nafziger actually spent some time in Kansas City, so there are a few things that are local to here. And he built a bakery
Really?
on Sixth and Prospect in Kansas City, which is kind of it was it became a rundown neighborhood. I don't know where they're at on the gentrification process, but that happened way back in 1905. And he was responsible for the things that eventually became the Hostess brand that we know and love to this very day. At one point,
And to the end of all time.
yes, and then of course, what this guy kept doing is
Last-
he kept making bakeries, getting them successful, and then selling them. And after he sold that one, he then created one called Interstate Bakeries, which Interstate was in full existence back in the days when we were eating cupcakes at very small ages. And then he sells that one, and not 7 years later, he ends up in Georgia, and he creates the Dolly Madison Bakery, and that was in 1937. So
Okay.
he was responsible for really getting these things to happen, and he would hire people that would help him create some of the most amazing and iconic things. So then another one that was based in Kansas City was called Continental Baking, and you'll see kind of where all of this zigzags in when I start talking about brands that we know.
So many things were.
Oh yeah, and then
Hubs here in
and then
Kansas City.
Continental Baking started with a fellow with the last name Ward in 1849, and he did a very similar thing. He'd make the bakery, it would be successful, he'd sell it, then he'd realize he wanted to do it again. So Continental Baking. So Ward Bakery became Continental Bakery. Continental Bakery got bought out by Purina Ralston. Now Purina Ralston was in the animal
Dog
food
chow.
business. They were in the animal business, food business for a while,
Right.
but they really did start getting into the human food business. A lot of the same base things, you make it out of corn, you make it out of wheat, you make it out of all of that. They had access to all that base stuff that then they're like, well, let's make a human food too.
They just didn't add the dog food
Yeah,
ingredient
yeah,
at the
and the
last
and
minute.
the and the really crazy thing about this is the level of rabbit hole I went down as everything just started conglomerating into everything else. Who owns the rights to this? Who owns the rights to that? And you'll see there's a ton of crossover and a ton of cakes from different brands that are the same kind of cake because of this. Because like, oh, ho-hos are popular here. Let's make some yodels over here, and we'll call them that. And
And the
so
distribution like wasn't wide enough for them to know about each
no.
other.
And so,
Yeah.
and the thing is that was a good thing, but that was a bad thing because mainly with these snack cakes, when they were regional, you knew that the bakery was never more than 2 hours away from you because you didn't want your stuff to melt before it went from the manufacturing plant
No,
to the store.
I don't want
or
it to.
literally the bakery. Yes. So Inger, welcome to you as well. And says Joe used to work for a company that printed the wrappers for Guy's potato chips. Yes. And so that's the thing is there is an industrial mechanism that puts that whole thing together. And with snack cakes, to have them be regional meant that your quality control, while it was like you couldn't have it be exactly the same nationwide, but it had fewer preservatives, all kinds of stuff. And so Crystal's joking, pedigree cakes, yum. JK, yes. So
That's what I'm saying. Like, what ingredients did they switch out
at
the last minute that it's not
at this
dog
point,
food
like,
anymore?
look it up. And again, that's another rabbit hole. Like, there's like 5 corporations in charge of all of the things, like all of the things.
They become malt
And
balls.
I'm not even just talking about sodas and snack cakes. I'm talking about cookies and candy bars. I'm talking about face creams and shampoos. Like, it's all under 5 different companies.
Umbrella,
Yeah.
umbrella
It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're in charge of everything. And so, so yes, and so they conglomerated and divided and conquered. And at this point, there's really kind of just only 2 companies that are handling all of these brands that we're going to talk about. That branding then became Hostess, then it became Old HB, which is Hostess Bakery, and then in the end it just all conglomerated, and now you just kind of have the big 2, which is Hostess is under one of the umbrellas, Little Debbie is under the other one, and they all just kind of mashed up into all of that. So the big first cake that we know, that we understand, was in 1919. For only 5 cents, you could get yourself a Hostess cupcake. And this was based, it was, yes, for only a nickel. And so in the beginning, the fellow who created it.
Now, like...
Yeah, oh yeah. And the fellow that created it was just sometimes, sometimes selling it out of the car. Now, before you eat, let's show everybody the iconography. Look at the swirl.
Yeah.
Okay, so hang on. I need to move forward because now I'm needing to find out. Not only did this happen in 1919, but the swirl did not get added until later. So the squiggle didn't get added. The squiggle didn't get added until 1950. Wow. Yeah. So, all right, let's do it.
I mean, it would have looked pretty bland if.
And some of the other cupcakes that have done didn't have this this frosting on the top.
And they probably went squiggle because it's easier to factory manufacture.
Oh yeah, because look at that. You could almost put our 2 squiggles together, and then you'd see that just kind of squiggles right through. All right, so bite number 1. Are we ready? If you're eating at home, now's your chance to take a bite 2. Yep. Lots of stuff. And here's the other thing.
It's like Ratatouille.
No, it's, did it take you back? You're like the critic who's really mean and harsh, and then you ate it and you went back to childhood. So yes, it was a cupcake. This was the OG. And like I said, it didn't really have the same kind of frosting or everything on the top, but it served the purpose. It was chocolate, it was sweets, it was that sugar to get you to the
head just chomp.
I know. So
I can't help it. It's so good.
I know. They're very good. And again, this is the biggest part about snack cakes. It's that comfort that we get from that sweet, from that memory of that positive memory part of childhood. And so, is absolutely.
It's the sugar.
Oh yeah.
These things won't melt anywhere.
Yes, and you'll get a sugar buzz out of it. Yeah, that's for sure. Like, I'm not sure I've ever seen this frosting melt. Like, but that's the thing. It's a very sturdy kind of frosting, isn't it? Like, you can put this in somebody's lunch, and if it gets a little warm, it's not a big deal. In fact, it probably makes it a little better.
It's like that thick. What is the thick thing they put on the cakes? Thick candy.
Like fondant, but it tastes good.
Yeah.
Because fondant. Have you ever eaten fondant? It's really bad. Like, if there is such a thing as fondant that tastes good, I would love to hear about it, and I would give it a try. Now, not long after this,
cake tastes like chalk.
Yes. So now we're going to be mentioning other cakes multiple times throughout here. So after this success,
this is the best thing ever.
Great episode, isn't it? It's already Evan's favorite episode. Yes. So now, not long after the success of this, then became the success of a non-chocolate item, which would be the Twinkie. And we'll eat
Yeah.
that either. We'll talk more about Twinkies later
Sure.
because
Yeah.
Twinkies has its
We
own
gotta
set of crazy and its own set of lore. But originally,
gotta let
the
the palate
Twinkie
cleanse.
the Twinkie had banana flavored filling.
Oh
It was not vanilla like
no.
what we know now. It was banana. Now
I mean
since
maybe,
then
but
since then they have come out with other versions, and it was funny because I can't remember, at some point everybody's like, "Oh, here, have some Twinkies," and I grabbed it not realizing it was one of the limited edition banana ones, and I was like, "Oh,
Oh, so they re-released them,
they've done it in
and
limited
you
batches."
tasted it.
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
No.
No, that's weird, right?
No, not a fan. Not a fan.
It's supposed to taste like a Twinkie,
Yeah,
not a banana rind.
but side note, and I don't know if I mentioned this, there used to be one, and I can't remember what company. Maybe it was Dolly Madison. Used to have what was called a banana flip, and it was
Okay.
just a sponge cake
Mm-hmm.
that had banana
sounds
pudding
great.
filling, flipped over, and it was called the banana flip. And I did try those when I was a kid.
I love bananas.
Really.
Like banana cream
But-
pie is my favorite thing in the whole world. But a
Strangely-
Twinkie with bananas.
But strangely, I am kind of put off by banana flavor. Yeah, well, lately I'm kind of put off by banana flavor. I don't know
Oh,
what happened
really?
to me.
In
I
general?
loved it for a long time, and I don't know what's changing. Okay, but Inger says, oh wait, hang on.
I'm sure you're going to be okay.
I hope I haven't missed anything. There we go.
With
Crystal
the
said,
change.
oh yes, Crystal said it's the preservatives. That's why we still look younger than we are. We've got all those preservatives in us. And then Inger said,
Twinkie bronze.
oh yes, Inger agrees with us about fondant. Commercial fondant is gross. Homemade fondant can taste good. Okay,
Okay.
so
All right.
and she is an expert. She
All
knows.
right.
She does homemade.
I'm probably
of this.
never going to make homemade fondant in
Yes,
my
she
entire
does
life.
homemade of things like
But-
this, and it's fantastic. Yes.
But I would love to try it.
And there it is. Crystal says the same. There is a way to make tasty fondant. I haven't tried it myself, but I might give it a try for you. Well, thank you. I would love to
Amazing.
test that.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Just save a bite for me, Julie, please.
All right. So we've already mentioned a couple of different flavors and ingredients. Chocolate being one of the big ones that's very important. Now, sometimes chocolate melts, and so how are we going to get it to the store? Sometimes you thicken up the chocolate, so it's like the cupcakes.
This
that we
is
just
before all the preservatives are totally added in. They're still
Very
trying to
much so.
figure out how to push it.
Very much so, because it's not going to last much more. I mean, if you have a homemade cake, how long does it last? A few days. I mean, it's
Like,
homemade
think a
cake,
wet-
so it
think a
goes away
wedding-
really quick because
yeah.
everybody eats it.
I think a wedding cake too, right? It's not going to stay for. Yeah.
That's exactly right. Now, of course, most of these have a base in flour and sugar and occasionally oat, like your oatmeal cream pie, and wheat. So
That
wartime
was the
rations.
healthy meal.
Yeah, and sometimes wartime rations were difficult to come by. So there was a bit of a drop as people had, whatever they could. And then in the 1950s, when all the war rations stopped, and then all the baby boomers started existing, there was a huge resurgence in the snack cake, the manufactured snack cake. So that was some delicious chocolate, but I'm going to take a sip real quick so I can clear the
Oh
palate.
yeah,
keep
cleanse the
talking.
palate for sure. Yeah, I'll do it with my
Your combo tea water, whatever that
my
happens to be.
10% tea water. Yeah.
There you go. I mean, you're just keeping your caffeine uptake. That's fine. So then, now we didn't just have fruit and sugar, sweet, that kind of thing. We also had, or we didn't have just chocolate. We also had fruit. I don't know. I skipped ahead in the sentence just then. And oftentimes your fruit choices were regional. So if you were in a place where cherries were popular, you would have the cherry pie there from that particular
makes sense.
deliverer. If you were living in the South, and say you were living in, Georgia, peach would be the option. Blackberry, all these different places with all
blackberry.
these different flowers. And citrus. There would always be citrus options too. So now oftentimes we talk about the different kinds of treats that we have, and we talk about ratios. So like the cake to cream ratio. And we talk, because the truth is, ding dong, and people that know Hostess, ding dongs, ho-hos, cupcakes. They're pretty much the same thing. It's chocolate cake
Oh yeah.
with some chocolate coating somewhere involved and some cream filling. So for a lot of people, they'll prefer one over the other based on the ratio.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
Yep.
that makes
So
sense.
yeah. So when
And
I
this
was
is something you can taste as it's
yeah,
going
and
in.
for the thing is like I never could choose between, like, cupcakes always came in third for me because ding dongs and ho hos
Mm-hmm.
were high on my list, and it really just came down to whatever I was in the mood for. Because the ho ho one, like the cream is mixed in a lot better, and so each bite has like a consistency of the
I
cream,
hear
the
you.
chocolate, and
The
that.
cake on that one I
But
wasn't such a fan of though.
yeah,
Ho-hos.
really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because the thing is it was a thinner
Mm-hmm.
cake,
Mm-hmm.
whereas with the ding dong cake, it's a thicker
So
cake.
I must
But
have.
but then that one, getting to the center, the creamy center, you had to go a bite or two.
So
And
I have a
so,
different ratio preference.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And so,
Okay.
yes, and Inger mentioned something that has brought
It's
up.
better than zodiac signs.
I think so. What is your hostess preference? Yes. And Inger says there are post-apocalyptic novels that have Twinkies as a staple because they don't go bad, which is one of my favorite things when we talk about Twinkies. One of the big ones everybody knows is Zombieland. Woody Harrelson's character is looking everywhere, and when he sees a Hostess truck or a convenience store or wherever, he has to check for Twinkies, and he gets mad at the very beginning because the first Hostess truck he hits has nothing but snowballs in it.
Oh.
And snowballs are at the bottom of my list. And it's funny because Linda does love those. That was kind of her childhood choice. Some people love it, and it's totally fine.
It's
And
the
Crystal
coconut.
said,
Ugh.
yeah, and Crystal says she likes the Swiss cake rolls, the Little Debbie version of
Okay,
the ho-hos,
okay.
because they had cream all the way through. So yeah, it's really just kind of a preference, kind of a thing. And so, and then we also, that what we just
You have to
mentioned
think
there
about
was
that.
the size of the cake and how many you're getting per package. Because for a long time, when you got a package of individual ho-hos, it was 2-pack. Well, nowadays it's 3-pack. But ding dongs are a 2-pack, but they seem bigger. Like I feel like they're a larger size.
Than they
So
were
yeah,
before?
no, they're smaller than they were before.
Okay.
And that's the other trick. Is that a Mandela effect for me? Because when I was a kid, this probably seemed larger in my tinier hands.
It's
right?
a bit. It could be a bit because I went back to my childhood home, and the window that I thought was like towering above me was like down at my below my knees.
So that might
It
be
was-
something I'm really, that might be something
Yeah.
that I have missed. So, and then the other trick. What drink do you have it with? Do you have it with milk? Do you have it with soda? Do you just have it plain
milk.
old water? Because that's the thing is a lot of times for the chocolate cakes, yeah, milk was always a very good one. And sometimes you dunk it, and that was pretty good too. But I was also a fan of when I was in a hurry and needed a massive like sugar punch, I would grab that and a soda.
Okay.
And just like chomp, chomp, chomp.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just,
that
and
makes
just
sense.
I was just throwing sugar down my throat at
makes
that
sense.
point. So it just depends. And if you guys have a preference, and then, yes, and Crystal says shrinkflation. So it's entirely possible that they also got smaller over time.
Sure.
And then you're paying more. And then, yes, Linda has officially said, I love snowballs from the past. Now, again, there's a quality issue that we'll talk about, and I have that
Oh, the
listed
coconut was
later.
probably fresher back then.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the marshmallow made in a way that you didn't have to put extra preservatives in.
Everything that makes it too
Yes.
spongy and gross right now.
Exactly right. So, and then one of the other kind of ratio type things, some of these ratios, then people got creative with, and then we get ourselves a little thing called the deep fried Twinkie. Yeah. So you want to take bad for you to the nth degree. It is that. And so right around 2002, I thought a Southerner created it because why wouldn't they? But no, apparently it was some dude in New York, a restaurant is like, I want to try this, but I don't think New York restaurants are going to take to it. Let me just run this to a bunch of state fairs. And that's where it came from and how it got popular. So I had no idea. I just figured it was some Southern gentleman that was just like, or girl who was like, I think I'm just going to butter this up and batter it and deep fry it. And if
And
you've
again,
never
proving
have you
that-
ever had one?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
Again, proving that
you've been to the
Twinkies will
Midwest,
live forever. You can dip them in a vat of oil,
and
and they're like, yeah.
It's like, we're gonna live forever. So yes, indeed. Now, one of the other things, because of them being original, the packaging was different. So in the very early years, sometimes they would just be packaged in paper, like a wax paper type of thing. Then over time, it went to foil. So when I was a kid in the 70s, ding dongs and ho-hos were wrapped in tin foil.
I kind
Aluminum,
of remember
little
that.
tin
I was
foil.
born in
Yes.
'76, but I remember unwrapping them.
Yes, and it wasn't until the 80s into the 90s that the plastic started to be a thing. And then, of course, sometimes it's that mylar plastic, so that kind of holds in, doesn't melt as easily as well. So you definitely have some
Science.
changes that went over time. And so, yes, I felt, and that's the other thing. You felt like if you're opening it from foil, it was somehow fresher.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they switched to the other, then they started adding more preservatives. Then it didn't quite taste the same. The chocolate didn't consistency of chocolate, and so that's all right. You're fidgety. It's fine.
I am.
All right, and so that's our, and so then of course things like the donuts, they used to be in little boxes and now they're in little bags, and so they'll think about ways that they can save, and it's not necessarily that they're saving the planet, it's more about they're just trying to save themselves some time and money as far as the packaging goes. And then of course that but the other thing is that Twinkies and cupcakes and little Debbie cakes didn't come in foil that I remember. They came in little plastic wrap. And so, plastic was a thing from the 40s, 50s, 60s
so
into
foil
now.
was a choice for them
For the chocolatey ones, for some reason. And so, I'm sure there was a reason behind it. And then, of course, they got lazy plastic, and decided to get, because they do it all the way to now. So now, something I discovered when I started looking shopping for all of these was that individual packages are often found at the convenience store very easily, and then the multi-packs were easier to find at grocery stores. I was in the grocery store and I couldn't find the little small pack versions. It was very tricky.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of had to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, now, used to line as you're checking out, they had
sometimes, but not every time. And so I was scouring the stores for sure, and I learned a lot about where they try to strategically put them, because when you're on the road snacks, the individual wrap comes in handy.
But they want you to buy the bigger boxes.
Well, and road snacks less so much, because you would buy a 10 pack of donuts to go on one trip by yourself. Yeah, I'm talking to the wrong crowd.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner for a week.
Yeah, but no, the norm is for the convenience store has the single serves. And this is not really a there's a reason why we're sharing all these things. If I ate the whole thing all by myself, oh my no. And so now specific cakes have multiple companies that would do the same cake. Okay? And so we want to go into our types and tropes, is what I've labeled it. So let's describe it as this. The first one: rolled, cream-filled, chocolate-covered. So we've already talked about it. It is the Hostess Ho-Ho. And of course, we have mentioned, and I'm just going to go ahead and bring it up. The one thing that I still have, I'm trying to get rid of the glare. There he is, little Happy Ho-Ho. There he is, and he looks like Robin Hood. So that's kind of his style, his bag. Ho-ho. Yes. And so that was his name. His name was Happy Ho-Ho. Yeah. Yeah. And then, yes, Inger said the same thing. They used to be right at the register where you'd get just that one little taste of it, and you get to enjoy it. So now, Hostess Ho-Hos, the Drake's Cake version, which happened in the Northeast, any of you that grew up in the Northeast, yodels. They were called yodels. And it was the exact same layout. It looked just, if you know what Ho-Hos are. And the one that we've also already mentioned, Little Debbie Swiss Rolls. Yeah. Same thing. Now, I always noticed that the chocolate in a Ho-Ho was a little different than the chocolate in a Swiss cake. And I don't know if the Swiss cake was supposed to be more of that European chocolate, because European chocolate was less milk and sugar filled. Yeah.
So it was darker?
Yeah. I wouldn't call it dark chocolate, but it was definitely a thinner chocolate than the Ho-Ho chocolate. Okay. And then Tasty Cake also had Swiss rolls and named it the same way as well. So my question for you guys:
Swiss rolls the same?
Yeah, because it didn't have a copyright.
Yeah, you can't copyright Swiss rolls.
Yeah, but you couldn't do Drake's yodels, and you couldn't do Hostess Ho-Hos. So
is there original Swiss roll then?
Probably, yeah, because that was the other. Yes, and so there used to be a style of cake that you would make, and you'd make the cake very flat, and you'd lay out all, and it's based on. That's what the cake roll is based on. Was amazing. The cake roll, and
where
there's
is that?
I think, and at some point they actually used to call it a Yule log, because you'd make it around Christmas time. So you'd make the very thin cake layer, you would spread the frosting across it, and then gently roll it into the position. And then sometimes you'd pin it shut, put all the powdered sugar and decorations, and then what you would do is you would cut a slice, and you'd have this beautiful spiral slice that would land on your plate, and you would eat it.
Yeah.
So that is the original.
Why don't they teach us this
where
in
the
high
cake
school?
rolls came from? I don't know. I know. And so
Swiss roll,
and so now my question for you is: as a kid, there were some people that would take it and unroll it, roll it out, and then just nibble away, or did you just chomp chomp right down.
Oh yeah,
Chomp right down.
Chomp right down. There's
Okay.
no way I was.
I did both because I liked.
I would have thought it's not possible.
Yeah, I did play with my food because I'm like, I wonder what happens if I unroll this. Oh, okay, that's cool. And so I played with it a little bit, but most of the time it was chomp, chomp, chomp. And so, like,
did it roll out kind of easy?
It was kind of curdly, but we made it work. So, Jeff, welcome to the conversation. He said loved any Hostess snacks because they had baseball cards on the back, so I would make sure I went through empty boxes before we put them in the trash compactor at the store. His father worked at was the manager of the grocery store, so he was able to get those little things. And so on the backs of it, this actually came from a package because this cute little picture of Happy Ho Ho is not just a picture; it's an iron-on. At some point, I hope I can transfer him to something. I have no idea what, if it'll even work at this point. And then I also have Captain Cupcake, a nautical variety of cupcake. So, and they made his little, and look, little swirl looks like his looks like his vest.
I love him.
Yeah,
he's my favorite.
Oh wait, wait till I get to all the rest. They're pretty great too.
Awesome.
So Crystal says they do in home ec if they still have that. I don't know. And so for a long time, Ho-Hos, when you bought them individually, that was a 2-pack. Now it's a 3-pack. So, just raising it up. Now, let me describe the next one. Round, cream-filled chocolate cover. That would be our Hostess Ding Dongs. Now, we in the Midwest know them as Hostess Ding Dongs. In the East Coast, they were known as Drake's Ring Dings. Now, for Hostess to be able to sell their Ding Dongs in the East, they had to change the name, and for a while it was the Big Wheel. Now, with Ding Dongs, the character that sold it to us, the mascot character, was King Ding Dong, and he has a little crown on, and he had like little and so
that doesn't sound right.
oh, you think that's not right? Hang on, let me tell you who was in charge of the Big Wheel. The Big Wheel was Chief Big Wheel. Yeah, he had the headdress on. Yeah. So, but that only lasted until they conglomerated, and then as soon as the same people that owned Drake's Cakes also owned Hostess, then they returned it back to the name Ding Dong.
King Ding Dong.
No, King Ding Dong. Yeah.
No.
That's who he is. So, I know. And now, what I didn't realize was that Little Debbie had a version of it called Cocoa Creams. I'm not sure if I ever really tried those. Aren't they cute? That's cute. Yes. And then Tasty Cake had one, and the takeoff on Ding Dong, but they called it Tasty Cake Chocolate Bells. All right, so just in time, we're going to talk about Tasty Cake, because one of the ones I have here is a lovely Tasty Cake that is a Boston cream honey bun. Now, if you know Steven, you'll know that he loves Boston cream pie, and you might also know that he loves honey buns. So he has just arrived, so I told him if he came down, he'd get to taste test us. Now, I have not tried this one before. I just saw it, thought of him. It is a Boston cream pie honey bun from the brand Tasty Cake. All right? So, you want to break you up? So here's a lovely picture of how frosted it is. So just grab you a bunch and break some off.
I think you should get the
however you need to pull it across.
Oh my god.
Oh, and it's got a creamy center. There we go. Yeah, get some of that creamy center. So yeah, that's what's happening. There's the cream pie center there. So all right, grab you off a pinch.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna chomp. Yeah, that's good. That's very good.
Oh, the chocolate
good job.
layer.
Yeah,
right.
Tasty Cake
Is really good.
Yeah, it's thick.
Tasty Cake has succeeded thoroughly. This is great.
Most of the time, the chocolate that's on these things is pretty spectacular.
It tastes like
This is very good chocolate.
like a donut.
Yeah.
Chocolate.
Yeah, it does. You almost feel like you're having one of those Bismarcks.
Cream,
Yeah.
Like you're having a berry and cream Bismarck. So, yep. All right, you're gonna grab another chomp.
No,
Grab another chomp. Grab
really?
Yeah.
Rich enough?
Oh yeah, this is nowhere near on any of our diets.
No.
And Inger says
I'm about to get the thickest.
Do it. And Inger says I loved honey cakes when I could eat them.
God,
R.I.P.
that's just what happened.
No, I mean that's fine. That's perfectly fine. So we're gonna get just a little messy as we finish this up.
I'm gonna leave you to it.
All right. So you have approval. We have approval from the guy who likes Boston cream pies and honey buns that Tasty Cakes has succeeded at their work.
That worked.
Aw. Yeah. So I'm gonna try to keep chomping away on this. Right?
Thank you, Stephen, for liking these so much.
Yep. So yes, and like I said, it's that combination, and then I don't know how they got honey bun glaze involved in all of this with all of the frostings, but I think it works really good.
There, yeah.
It certainly is. So yes, I thought that Tasty Cake, for a company that I was not familiar with until the last couple of years. Here's the interesting thing about Tasty Cake. They were very popular in Pennsylvania. And so there are a few other styles and types of cakes that they have, and we'll talk about that later when we talk about the different brands. But yes, they were absolutely fantastic.
They were popular in
so
Pennsylvania.
did you know Tasty Cakes? Yeah. So all right. So while I finish this, I would love for you to tell them about what was your all-time #1 favorite cake and why.
I don't know Tasty Cakes really. I don't.
Okay. Well, any brand.
Okay.
Any brand. Anything. What was the favorite? If you are only ever allowed to have one snack cake from here on out, who is it?
Oh God. Am I in hell at this point?
But no, it's only one, and you can only ever have it all your life. I mean, you can have it whenever you want, but it's just the one. What's it going to be?
Oh God.
Yeah, what's it going to be? I know, it's difficult.
Let me look at my choices again here.
I mean, you do have a few choices over here that we haven't got to, and yes, we're going to be totally picking up. Norma June says, have you got more? I'll be right over if you do. Yeah, I might have some leftovers. I will let you know. And Inger said, so, chocolate dipped cinnamon rolls on the list to try and make. Amen. If you make it, it's probably going to be the most fantastic thing that ever fantastic thing.
I think Twinkies. I think Twinkies themselves are just
Very good.
My favorite.
Okay.
When I open that package, I know what I'm getting, and I know it's going to be good.
Yeah, and that's able to come up with ways to keep Twinkies a bit more consistent.
Yeah.
Because of what they were made of, because of their melt. There's nothing really in there to melt, and so I think that was.
I love all the
others. But it was
others.
also soft. Like the cake was always very.
I love
soft.
the cupcakes. I love all the others, but.
Yep.
I would usually I would have to be in a tasting situation like this to have those instead of the Twinkies.
Yeah, and so
donuts though. When they put them in the
you
bag,
do like the donut bags.
just loads of them into.
Yeah, that would probably be if I was picking one and I didn't know what you were going to want. That's probably where I would pick. So that takes us to our next one, because we'll come back. There is another round cream-filled chocolate-covered one through Dolly Madison called Cuckoos, but we're going to have another conversation about Cuckoos later. And then normally. The Ding Dongs came in 2 packs. And so we've got those over here, and we'll talk more about
conversation about Cuckoos.
I know, right? We went from Ding Dongs to Cuckoos. So the cream-filled yellow cake, we were just talking about one of the most famous, which is the Twinkie. Yes, good. Drake's Cakes had one, and they called it Zoinks. Zoinks, like Zoinks,
like
man.
Scooby.
Yes,
Scooby-Doo.
Yes, exactly like that.
Shaggy.
And Little Debbie's
Zoinks.
Little Debbie's version was called Cloud Cakes, and Tasty Cake's version was called Dreamies. So it's always very light, very fluffy.
I don't like any
the
of
whole
those.
thing.
Yeah.
Now, on to something you don't like: the cream-filled coconut-covered cakes.
No.
Hostess snowballs.
Out.
Now, unfortunately, I didn't find any snowballs, so oops, we aren't going to get a chance to taste those.
I would actually be kind of curious to think what I think.
It's usually like a chocolate cake or some other flavor of cake with the cream filling, and then it had a marshmallow covering, and then it had the coconut covering, and then they would put that. So, and then Linda says, now we know what to get Stephen for his birthday. Amen. Yes. So
I made a choice about those in the first 10% of my life. Like I haven't had them in probably 30 years. The snowballs.
Oh, gotcha. No, I get that. And then Tasty Cake also had one, and apparently Snowballs, if you spelled it with a W in it, Tasty Cake was able to do that without getting into copyright problems. Yeah. Snow, S-N-O dash balls was the Hostess one. So yeah, I know. What is it about Hostess naming things? They named Ho-Hos, Ding Dongs, Snowballs, like... and Twinkies, I mean...
It's got to be inside joke. They're probably like inside joking it, like they know.
Entirely possible, yeah, I suppose so.
And every time one goes out, they go, ah.
So, and one that we've already eaten, of course, the Hostess cupcake is the frosted top cream-filled cakes. Hostess cupcakes. Tasty Cakes had one called Crimpets, which I had never heard of until I started setting up.
What is it? It's
so it's the cake with the filling, and it just has a frosting across the top.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
and so, and then
right.
Dolly Madison. Which is now Hostess. So this used to be Dolly Madison brand, and this is why I chose to wear this shirt, because the branding and advertising for many, many years was Peanuts. Charlie Brown and the gang used to sell us zingers, and
I had them at Dolly Madison.
Yeah, Dolly Madison used to sponsor any of those in the 70s into the 80s. They would sponsor all of those different specials.
I can't believe you got all these cakes.
I did. I know. And I don't know if we're going to finish it all. We're probably going to have tummy aches when we're all done. So, okay. And this time I chose
we'll leave
to not over chocolate us. I know, maybe Mom will come over for this one.
Yeah.
But I chose the vanilla, so we wouldn't get too, death by chocolate. So yeah.
Yeah,
so
if that was banana, I'd be out of here.
No,
I'd be angry with you.
And that's the other thing is that the difference in frosting, because this has kind of a bit of snap to the frosting, but then once you kind of bite into it, yeah. Have you had Zingers before?
Again, not in like 30 years, and they were the Dolly Madison brand, but there's a crunch to the breading part.
There's a crisp on that edge, and then once you bite in, nice and soft, and then you've got the filling all the way through.
It's almost like it's been dipped in a vat of oil.
Considering what we're eating right now, yeah.
It's got that sort of golden.
Yeah, and so it almost has
fantastic.
That golden,
I approve.
It's that golden pound cake thing, and then of course they've got a chocolate version of these, and they've got a few different flavors. And then one of the interesting things is that Zingers for a long time had raspberry flavor.
This might be my favorite now.
Really? Okay. All right. I'll buy that.
I don't know if something changed when I went to Hostess or.
Maybe they, and that's surprising because a lot of times we've had a drop in quality.
It's the fondant or whatever that is.
But if this is fondant, then it's very tasty.
Yeah.
They did a good job.
Yeah.
And then Zingers, I can't remember. I feel like maybe they came in a 2-pack back in the day, but they come in a 3-pack regular. So we just had 2, and there's an extra, and we'll see if we get to that later today.
Let's not.
Probably not. Now, one of the other ones that I did not get a sampling of, but I love, is the fried pie. I'm going to tell you a family story about this one.
Like
that Mom is here, so hopefully she'll appreciate it.
The ones that are just drenched in a sugar coating.
And so, back in the South, they had what was called a fried pie. You'd take that fresh fruit, turn it into a compote or a jelly or whatever it was, make a dough, fold it over, crimp the dough, drop it in the deep fryer. It was called fried pie, and you'd get it whenever you were driving around in the South, and you just stop off the side of the road, get some jam, some jelly, and get a fried pie. Oh yeah, they're still legit, like old-fashioned homemade fried pies. So from this, Hostess and other companies started making them, but they didn't just make them in that cute little, blip of a thing. No, they made them huge. So when I was a kid,
that's what I'm thinking. They would be bigger than the ones in the package.
Yes, and so when I was a kid, I got my sweet tooth from my dad. And my mom loves sweets, but my dad loved sweets a ton. But he knew how much I loved it, and he was always very sweet. He would always make sure that I had the ho-hos and the ding-dongs and all those other sweets. And so sometimes Mom would pack that in his lunch, and she'd pack double so that he'd have a ding-dong, or, he'd have a Twinkie at lunch. But when he came home, I would raid his lunchbox, and there was always an extra treat. And I'm like, no. So Mom would always do that, and of course Dad would do that too. Well, it got to a point where I'd eat them out of house and ho-hos, right? So I didn't like the fruit pies. I'm like, ew, fruit pie, there's no chocolate involved in that. I don't want that.
No, you're missing out. Yeah.
I didn't know, though. So then, somewhere along the line, we were out of everything else. Dad wasn't around, was at work or whatever, and I tried one, and there was no stopping me at that point.
That sugar cracks like ice on a lake. It's just that was the
thing. It was like every time I'd try a new bar, or a new candy bar was similar, because it's like he'd have 3 Musketeers, and then when I realized they tasted good, he had to skip ahead to Baby Ruth, or he had to skip ahead to Butterfinger. Then eventually I fell in love with all of them. By then I was old enough to buy my own. But Dad was always so sweet and thoughtful to at least, like, even if it was just some double mint gum. Like, it was always, I get in there,
the apple fried pie is probably my favorite. See, I know I'm going to change forever.
And apple was my least favorite.
Oh my God.
Of all of the choices. No. Yeah. Cherry. Cherry stood above and beyond. Strawberry was fine. Lemon was fine. But there was a time in the 80s, right around 86 is the time I found they did pudding pies, and I lived for those. I'd get a vanilla pudding pie. Then they started covering them in chocolate, so very similar to what we just ate of the
pudding pie is so fun to say. Pudding
it
pie,
is,
pudding
and they
pie.
were so very messy. Absolutely. And Crystal says McDonald's used to have fried apple pie. People got mad when they switched them. Yes, and so those are very good as well.
Yeah. Then they made them just the warm baked ones.
Yeah. Right. And then Ingrid, the same. They made chocolate pies too that tasted like chocolate pudding. So they had chocolate pudding pie, vanilla pudding pie, and then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles got in there on that, and the pudding was vanilla, but it was green.
Green.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool.
Green, no.
I know. And so, like we mentioned before, the standard
and it tasted
fruits,
like banana.
no, I didn't get that far. But the standard
like, how
fruits,
much can we F with our customers?
but the standard fruits on the fried pies were cherry and apple, and there have been others such as blueberry, peach, lemon, blackberry. We mentioned the pudding pies that were chocolate covered. And then Little Debbie had a version of them as well, and Drake's had a version of them as well. And it only lasted to about the mid-90s, the pudding pies, and then they kind of went away. But the fruit pies remain. And we also have mini pies, 100-calorie packs. So when I'm back on my diet, I'll probably go to those to kind of wean myself off of all this sweetness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
mini pies.
Yes. And then one of your favorites, donuts and muffins. The little mini muffins that the companies have, the Hostess donuts. Dolly Madison had little donuts, and they were called donut gems.
Sure.
Cute little gem donuts.
I'm in.
And most of the times they were cake donuts and powdered. Cake donut is my least favorite kind of donut. Powdered is my least favorite.
I don't go for
glazed,
powdered.
sugaring, and all
I
that.
don't really like the powdered ones.
Yeah,
either.
and then of course Entemann's, which one I didn't really hear about until I started going on tour with the Colts, and when I went to other places, I'm like, "What's this Entemann's?" It's like, "That's great, you should try it." They would have the chocolate frosted donuts, which were pretty good.
Oh yeah,
So,
no,
yeah.
Entenmann's.
I had no idea. Again, it's another regional company that then has gone nationwide. I just didn't know nearly enough about
Like in
them.
California, we had like a bread basket type place type deal, and you could go in there and they just Entenmann's everywhere and
Gotcha.
stuff. So, yeah,
Gotcha.
it was.
So,
I had lots of Entenmann's growing up.
So you are very familiar with it. I love it. Very good. So from here, I want to talk about some specific brands. I know we've talked about some of it already, but I kind of want to just bring them all into their own little pods. So Hostess brands started with Interstate Bakery in 1930, one of the bakeries I mentioned before. Now, as big giant conglomeration, they are under the Smucker's brand. Yes, the jelly makers. And Hostess was the originator of the cupcake that we know and love. And as I mentioned before, the character was Captain Cupcake. He was a sea captain. As you can see, he's got his little captain's hat, and he's got his little let's see, what's that? And he's saluting, and he's got his little epaulettes, and then he's got the little spyglass that he can see.
I think it's the hat and the spyglass.
It just sets it
and
right
the mustache, right?
And now a bunch of these,
he's
yes,
got a mustache,
of course,
squiggly.
and it's a frosting mustache. Yes, it's a frosting mustache. Yeah, drop it down.
Yeah, this is.
I'm
sorry, guys.
That's
I'm sorry.
right.
I
He'll
tried.
get better at it. No, it's right here. Hang on. I know it always messes things up, so we're trying. Hang on. Almost there. Almost there. There you go. Sneak it up. Sneaking it up. Tipping it. There we go.
Science.
There's a lovely picture of him. Yes, and he's got frosting mustache.
Love it.
And so now they added the squiggle in 1950, but they also had baseball themed ones. So they had like the little baseball stitches on it, which I always thought were pretty great. They had Shrek version of them, which also had like the green filling and then orange cake or whatever.
For some reason, Shrek is better than TMNT.
It
sounds more flavorful.
They did change those flavors a little bit. They had orange ones that still come and go, and they also have lemon ones that still come and go. And they're not too bad. I think they're pretty good. It just tastes like a lemon cake or an orange cake. The Twinkies, we've mentioned it before. Twinkies came out in 1930, and it has as its character Twinkie the Kid. Woohoo! Yeehaw! And he's got his little gun belt and his big 10-gallon hat.
Yep.
And then that was set up by a company called Continental, which we mentioned before, and a fellow named Mr. DeWar, and he invented the Twinkie, and he went by the nickname Mr. Twinkie for most of his life. Now, an interesting side story. In all of these conglomerations, when they're like going into bankruptcy, like Hostess was in bankruptcy at some point, nobody had bought them out yet. All of this detail, Twinkies went away in the United States for a while.
I was totally shocked.
People were devastated and freaking out and paying like $200 for a Twinkie online.
What do you mean they're gone?
Yes, it was
I
getting
hadn't
crazy.
bought one in years.
And it only lasted for and people that had never bought one in years were freaking out and trying to find them.
I thought it would be there when I needed it.
It was a Twinkie black market, people. It was crazy. So from November of 2012 to March of 2013, they were not in the U.S. They started producing them again and started putting them on shelves. So congratulations. You're welcome. Twinkies are back.
Who made that awful choice?
It was a very sad situation where they went into bankruptcy and they literally couldn't afford to keep
But
going.
Twinkies, that's the one that takes the hit.
Save the Twinkie. Yes, we could not save the Twinkie.
Come on.
I know, and now they're back.
These things get deep fried. They become even better.
I know, and how are we saving
How could that not
and
be a
then
priority
you can always
for
see
them?
that wonderful thing at the bottom where you see where they've kind of extruded the little the frosting in the bottom.
Yeah, the little
right?
body.
Yep.
The little,
and I would always pick what side had the frosting closest to the end? So that would be the last part I'd eat, so it had more frosting or more cream filling.
Have you seen UHF, the movie?
So there it is. It's classic, right?
His friend makes
Absolutely.
a Twinkie wiener sandwich.
No, that sounds horrible. I forget. I've seen it. It's been many, many years. Many, many years.
It would probably be good.
And as I mentioned, I've already told the Zombieland story. Now, when it comes to these, there's a shelf life legend. People think that it lasts 20 years. The reality is it does not. When everybody freaked out about the lack of Twinkies, they opened it, and what was that? So from November to March, so that's what, like 3, 4, 5, like 5, almost 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
They just kept that box and let it sit. Apparently one of them had gotten icky, gross, like moldy and all of that. So they really do wear out. So what I've discovered is that originally a Twinkie will go for 26 days back in the day, pre-preservative Twinkie. Okay. A current preservative Twinkie will last 45 days.
That's it?
That's what I hear. That said, though, I'm pretty sure I've had some, and maybe they were just a little drier is all. But I don't know. I think that more experimentation should be done. But that's the problem. Twinkies are so good, you don't want to wait that long to eat them. You eat them. Mm-hmm. Eat the Twinkie. My advice to you, eat the Twinkie.
That's crazy.
Our favorite snowballs.
That shocked. 45 days.
I know. So
I am appalled. I thought they were going to outlive us all.
Nope. It's not going to do it. So, I mean, feel free to use Snopes, do whatever you got to do.
You were not the warrior I thought you were.
Oh, I know. Poor thing. Poor thing. So I eat you. All right. So, snowballs came out in the 50s to whatever kind of popularity we want to call that. Mm-hmm. Ho-Hos came out in 1967. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we had Happy Ho-Ho, who he was a Robin Hood character.
Happy Ho-Ho.
I know. And then that same year was when Ding Dongs came out. I mentioned before we have King Ding Dong. In 1987 was when they merged with Drake's and when they were able to have to be called Big Wheels. So we had to say goodbye to Chief Big Wheel. Bye, Chief Big Wheel. Now, Fruit Pies had Fruit Pie the Magician. And he was dressed in his little magician's cape and his top hat, and he had a little wand, and he would bring the magic up. Yeah. So, yep. Okay. Yep, so he was Fruit Pie the Magician. Mm-hmm. And then when I had...
name? Fruit Pie? Mr. Pie? Okay.
Fruit Pie the Magician, yeah. And then Suzy Q's started in 1961. Now, Suzy Q's are a different one, and I think I might have forgotten bringing these up. It is a plain chocolate cake, but cream-filled. Now, a lot of people have opinions on that, that look like yours, where it's not got the frosting over the top. I'm not into it. And I had a kick in my childhood where I loved Hostess Suzy Q's. Now, Drake's has one that's called Devil Dogs. It's the same thing. Little Debbie has what's called Devil Creams, and they're very similar to the original, which is called a whoopie pie. You bake little cakes, and you make them into like almost a sandwich. Then you make the frosting, turn it into a frosting. Basically, it's a frosting sandwich. Okay. Yeah. So, and that was the original type of thing. And of course, this one is just kind of a filled sponge cake. So
I don't even care what's in it.
A sponge cake, or once you fill it, like a Victoria cake. So there's a lot of original stuff that this came from too.
I think the cream to whatever ratio is high on this one. There's a lot more cream in it, right? It fills the whole thing to the yeah. That's probably me.
So and that's Suzy Q's, and apparently Suzy Q. There was a cheerleader girl named Suzy for a minute. That was that. Okay. Now you mentioned before Chocodiles came out in the 90s, and it had a crocodile, a little chocolate shaded crocodile. For a while, and it didn't last any long. I'm not sure why. The people who loved him really loved him.
Like, I found out today that there's no more Chocodiles out there.
Not that I know of. And the thing
is now, this days old.
If they come out,
sad.
If they come out, they're called Chocodile Twinkies because again, they're under the same company banner.
Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that. Just bring them to me.
And then of course we have honey buns. What is your choice? We already had one, glazed or white frosted. People always seem to have a choice between the two. I think they're both great. It's just whatever mood I'm in. So iced or glazed?
Glazed. The
you
frosted.
Like glazed better?
Yeah, the white.
The white frosted is frosted. So the white frosted, the white frosting you like better. Yep. Yeah. So now we've touched on this one, and I want to make sure we cover it. Little Debbie. Now my personal memory with Little Debbie was those were the cakes that my grandma would always buy. Mm-hmm. They were probably on sale at the grocery store. Mm-hmm. And again, it's a regional thing. Little Debbie had a very heavy base in Tennessee, in Kentucky, southern Missouri, Appalachia. So we were in the Ozarks, but the Ozarks is just kind of Appalachia Park too. So so the first time I ever had an oatmeal cream pie was at my grandmother's. And that was always a treat because she had this fantastic kitchen. She had, there's so many memories of positivity and awesomeness. My grandma was an absolute badass, but also super loving. Like, she lost her foot when she was 11. She almost died of a fever.
Yeah, I heard that.
Survived, went on to get married, have 8 kids, and run a ranch side by side with my grandpa. So she was strong. Yeah, yeah. So she was just hobbled, and it was amazing. Linda says, "Quit making snarky remarks about snowballs." Sorry, Linda. They're all yours. We're not going to eat them. You can have them all.
We are bagging on the snowballs of current snow. We understand that the ones back then were fresher and all those things.
And Crystal mentions about.
I'm a little upset. I can't eat those anymore. Or try them.
Crystal says, "Glazed but fried in a skillet. For the honey bun, add some ice cream if you got it." So no,
oh my
right?
God.
I know.
What?
Crystal is a food wizard as well. Inger, Crystal,
there.
They are all food wizards. They really are. So, but my memories of, we were always able to kind of sneak in. She had a little cupboard just off the kitchen, like at the edge of her bedroom, and we could always sneak in there and get a Swiss cake roll or an oatmeal cream pie. Now the funny thing is I couldn't find just a basic B oatmeal cream pie. I had to get a double decker.
Really
and I know, and so we're gonna have to break it up. And I'm only gonna have a bite because I am starting to run out. But again, it's classic. You got your oatmeal. And this one is a double-decker version. Have you had the double-decker? So you want to talk. This changes.
My stomach is starting to tell me no, but...
Yeah, this changes the ratio. But it's very... I actually like the double-decker ratio, but I can't have this all the time, y'all. This is a lot. So... And like I said, I'm not even gonna. Oh, well, here, you take this chunk of it because I'm not gonna be able to get all this done. So
we're so like free with our hands.
Linda agrees Inger agrees with Linda. I loved snowballs.
There you go.
So,
now snowballs or snow dash balls?
And maybe
have you all been following along? Because that's some inside joke.
It is.
Earlier.
There are two. There are 2 different kinds. Now, for Little Debbie, a fellow by the name of O.D. McKee also sold 5 nickel snacks from his cart, and the really oatmeal cream pie was a big one. Yeah, if you get a hold of, that's why I'm trying to hold on to the oatmeal part. Because the frosting is sticky.
The frosting's like Gorilla
Yeah,
Glue.
I probably just put some in my hair. I don't even know. So yes, and he created the oatmeal cream pie. Now in 1960, they rebranded it to Little Debbie. And if I remember right, I forgot to study up on this one. It was his daughter, picture of his daughter, that they used. So the cute little girl with the hat, looking all fresh and wholesome.
Well, really, it was his kid.
Yeah, and so he was one that originated having these snack cakes in a big family pack. So the reason why we have Ding Dongs, Ho-Hos, all that in the 10 and 12 packs, Little Debbie had a lot to do with it because they started doing that right around 1960. Now, of course, we've already talked about Swiss cake rolls. One of Steven's favorite, the Star Crunch, which is like caramely and nutty and has the chocolate over the top.
I know. That sounds amazing, though.
So maybe we'll do a part 2 and we'll do some taste testing. We'll see. Now, the other one that we had that was a big favorite of mine in high school and junior high and high school was the Nutty Buddy. Now, this is a part of a Mandela effect. Do you remember what that one was about?
No.
They used to be called Nutty Bars, but people nicknamed them Nutty Buddies. And everybody has Mandela affected, swearing up and down, I ate Nutty Buddies in 1983. I don't know.
Wow. They weren't then. They weren't around then. They were
I know.
Nutty Bars.
Linda's coming on the warpath about snowballs. You don't even have any to give me. No, I don't. But next time I see some, I'll buy some and bring them to you. Promise.
I promise.
Yeah, promise.
We're going to bring a case and we're going to try and find the classics.
And yes, I am so completely sugar buzzed at this point.
I have to have some of this.
Oh, I know. We're going to get you a slice of this.
Yeah.
But I also need to
because it's got like peanut butter in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're
chocolate
fantastic.
And peanut butter.
I mean, it's classic. So, and so Nutty Bars became Nutty Buddies. The Cosmic Brownie. Chocolate. Everybody seems to love the Cosmic Brownie. I don't have one of those. I think I might have eaten the one that we had yesterday. Now, back in the day, they used to have the walnut-covered ones, which I loved. And I've kind of, everybody else loved the Cosmic Brownies. Well, the Walnut Brownies, I have not seen them in a very, very long time.
That sounds good, but I've never seen those.
And
the Cosmic Brownies, yes.
The Cosmic, yes, but they used to have a walnut.
Like the Sprinkle Ball ones now.
Yeah, that's Cosmic.
Oh.
Yeah, so the walnut ones were different.
Ball.
Yeah, the walnut ones were different.
Mandela effect's going to change it.
It probably is. It's probably. So then, so zebra cakes came out in the 90s, still very popular to this day. The fancy cakes, where it was like white frosting on white frosting, and the fudge rounds. The fudge rounds are probably my least favorite because the cake seems a bit dry. I don't know why.
I don't remember that one.
And then they also had smile cookies, which was like an oatmeal cookie, but they had like jelly that made a little smile, a little face and a smile on it. Yeah. So
were they good?
yeah, I liked them all right.
Okay.
So I just kind of have to be in a mood for them. Yeah. So, and then Crystal said Nutter Butters maybe in 1983. Now, Nutter Butters is a cookie. And so Crystal might have seen them, labeled as that, depending on where she was living at the time. And Linda's on Inger's side and says, yay, Inger. So we apparently taken sides.
Nutter Butters do not last with me.
They're just like the whole thing.
Whatever is there, it's just gone.
So, and of course, Little Debbie has definitely gotten creative and expanded their market. Caramel cookie bars, peanut butter crunch, chocolate chip cream pies, jelly rolls, jelly cream pies, raisin cream pies. Sounds gross, but oh well. Double deckers, which we just ate, marshmallow pies. And then, of course, they are kind of the kings of the seasonal snack, the Christmas tree cake. We love it. It's a very big deal. It's become a design element for people as well. I personally enjoyed the Valentine's cake. The little heart-shaped cakes were a bit smaller.
Yeah.
And it's like a nice little bite size. Mother's Day cakes that they have now. They have a whole bunch of those brownies where they'll put different icing for spring and for Easter and for baseball and football, 4th of July. So all the ice brownies each season has a different one that they bring out. And so, yeah, Crystal says, no, I just think they got confused with the Nutty Buddy. So, Nutty Buddy, Nutter Butter, Nutty Bar, it's a whole entire thing. Now, Drake's Cakes, like I mentioned before, is one I'm far less familiar with. It was from the East Coast in New York in 1896. It was regional to New England, and then they expanded later into the East Coast and the South. So, I really haven't seen Drake's Cakes very many places. They connected to Nabisco for a little bit in the 20th century, one of the big juggernauts. They were also known for their branding, and they had a little duck logo, and he is a duck with a chef hat, and his name is Webster. They had a contest to name him, and they got him next year. And so now it is owned by the Little Debbie people. It is owned by McKee. So Linda says that the Nutty Bars are wonderful. Yes, indeed they are. Yeah. So very good. So now
that was really good.
Drake's had the Devil Dogs, which is the equivalent of the Suzy Q, back in 1956. Ringdings, which is like the Ding Dong, in 58. They had another one called Funny Bones, which was a little bit more similar to the Nutty Buddy, I think it was. Yodels was their Ho-Ho variant in 1962. And people didn't think that they had pies, but they did have pies. They called them fruit doodles. And so the interesting thing is doodles, fruit doodles. Yeah. And so I think there might be doodles on here somewhere. You know that I love puzzles. So one of the puzzles I got was Tasty Treats. So you kind of get an idea. There's some scooter pies. There's some really good stuff in there.
Doodles.
And so, yeah. So, and I'm pretty sure there's doodles in here somewhere. I just can't seem to find them. And I don't want to take up too much time because I'm running out of time, if you haven't noticed.
You're always running.
I know. Again,
it's just part of the show.
I bite off more than I can chew. I think we all know this about me. And Crystal, that's true. And Crystal says they make a snickerdoodle cream pie like the oatmeal cream pie, and those are good. So see, sometimes they really hit it out of the park.
That sounds good.
I'd say so. So in 1988, Drake's celebrated the 100th anniversary of their creator making bakery stuff. They made a 500-pound ring ding that they cut like a cake and served to people. 500 pounds. And so in 1998, they all went under Interstate Bakery, which I mentioned before. And as of 2013, they're owned by the Little Debbie people. We mentioned Zoinks, which was a Twinkie version. And they're very well known for their coffee cake. Drake's Coffee Cakes. They were even featured in a Seinfeld episode, which I don't watch enough Seinfeld to know. I just know enough to be dangerous. Now, Dolly Madison. This is kind of my last big story that I wanted to tell. Oh, and by the way, the Philadelphia Tasty Cakes had flavors. The crimpets, the little cupcakes with frosting, PB&J, pancake, spice, and butterscotch. Spice cake and butterscotch cake. So different options, right?
Good.
I think so. So Dolly Madison was a company, like I said, started by that one guy. Hang on, where'd he go? He has a name. Leroy Nafziger, in 1937 in Georgia. Leroy. Now, Dolly Madison was known for zingers, which we've already had some, Razzies, which were a raspberry zinger, or cuckoos. Now, I remember having cuckoos back in the day. They were supposed to be the version of, they're the Dolly Madison version of Ding Dongs. but they had different flavors. Now, originally, when they rolled this out, they were going to have a raspberry flavor called Razzies. They were going to have the chocolate flavor just be called Cuckoos, and they were going to have a different flavor, which was like almost like a confetti, like vanilla confetti flavor, and they named it Googles.
Googles?
Googles. Yeah, and I never saw them named as Googles. Again, maybe this is another Mandela thing. I don't know. I knew them as Vanilla Cuckoos. And I had them, I mean, even until up into the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, the Peanuts were the sponsors, and Snoopy was kind of like the Hamburglar version, but he was always trying to zap the zingers. So he was the zinger zapper.
I think I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, and then of course, Dolly Madison was responsible for the donut gems, as well as they had a pretty good carrot cake. Now, my take, we're down to my final thing here, my take on the quality changes. Like I said before, the biggest reason why there are quality changes in these cakes is that they're not regional anymore. There are 2 places in the United States that make Hostess cakes. We're lucky because one of them's in Nashville, which isn't too horrifically far away, but it's a long way away. So quality control now becomes about preservatives, which is disappointing, which is why homemade is always better than the store-bought. And so if you come up with a way, I'm always impressed by those videos of make your own ho-hos, make your own Little Debbie everything.
I just put it
and
all into a
great.
blender because
They're
that's what it's
great,
going to look like anyway.
but it's a lot of work, as can be verified by Crystal, who spends a lot of time in the kitchen, as well as Inger, who spends a lot of time making these fantastic, tasty treats that we can all enjoy. And so thank you guys for putting that extra work in. So it is past the top of the hour. I did it again. So I do have to make an announcement about what next week's show is going to be. Before I do that, Crystal says they also make a nutty cake and a nutty cream pie, just FYI. Yes, they are mashing
Nutty
up
cream pie? What?
Yes, they're mashing up their flavors. And they put them in ice creams now, all kinds of mashups, yes. And we're going to do a separate show on mashups, which we've already been doing some recordings for. So, the announcement. What on earth could next week's theme be? Party songs. Let's talk about party songs, shall we? So what's first song you think of when I say party songs?
Oh God.
Just
I'm too sexy.
What? It's not about partying though. It's about being sexy.
I'm just thinking about like being in a party, dancing.
All right.
Like,
okay. So
party rock.
So I'm thinking, yes, party rock.
Yeah.
So of course, there's entire bands where all of their stuff is dedicated to partying. Andrew WK being one of those.
Every Andrew WK.
Yep.
Yeah,
So, yay! So speaking of home baking, Inger's making cobblestones this weekend. They're kind of sweet, like a little cookie kind of sweet, and they are delicious.
Wow.
And they'll be in Oklahoma, and you won't. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay. I know. You'll have to survive without them. They're amazing. So delicious. So yes, we're going to talk about party songs. So think about the party songs that you know and love. Of course, like I said, I'll be bringing up the classics. Of course, people know. So 1999. Excellent choice. Excellent choice. I will probably give you the hot take on how I feel about Lionel Richie's All Night Long.
Yeah. 1999 is pretty like that. That is something
classic.
We all danced to in 1999, waiting for the year. I mean,
I know because it came out in 1984, whatever
so
year that
we all
was.
partied like it was 1999
for a lot of years.
In 1999,
yes, we did.
That is the biggest party with a
song
ever.
I'll be doing posts all week, as many as I can. Anyway, I know I'm very busy. If you haven't heard, at the Oklahoma Renaissance Festival, if you want to see Roddy and Jules, we are wandering the streets as slightly different characters. Jules is always Jules, but she is Juliet Bell. And of course, you can always find Dr. John D. And you might, since it's a Celtic weekend, you might spot Roddy a little sooner than later. So we'll see how that goes. But yes, I am very busy with that, but still thankful to all of you guys that are chipping in on the commentary. Thank you to all of you guys that are watching. Crystal graduated in 1999, so of course it was a reason to celebrate. Yeah.
Right.
So
your whole class got to talk about
party
that
like
all
it was
year.
1999. But they got to talk about it even longer because, like, I'm going to graduate in 99. I want to be able to party like that. Blah, blah, blah. So yes, indeed they did. So like I said again, guys, thank you so much for hanging in there. We will see you next week. We're going to start talking about party songs. If you have any other posts about snack cakes or any of the other topics that we've done, please chip in. Any of you guys that are watching this after the fact, we welcome you to talk about that as well. So just get ready with your favorite party songs that you like or that you hate or whatever it is, and we're gonna have some fun. Special thanks to Evan yet again.
Humpty Dance.